As House of the Dragon Season 3 began, it wasted no time in disproving the criticism leveled at Season 2. That the show favored political maneuvering over visceral payoff, as emphatically as television criticism can be answered. The Battle of the Gullet remains the most sustained piece of large-scale naval combat this franchise has ever staged. And it did something more important than simply satisfying an appetite for spectacle. It killed Jacaerys Velaryon in a manner that indicted the very people who loved him most. Rhaenyra trapped in a locked room by her own son's well-intentioned order while he died helplessly in the water. This is the show's signature move, and Season 3 deployed it with unusual consistency. The gap between what a character believes they are doing and what they are actually setting in motion. Queen's Landing delivered the moment the season had been building towards structurally, Rhaenyra's reclamation of the Red Keep, and immediately refused to let it feel triumphant. Because the following episode, Rhaenyra Triumphant, despite its ironic title, cataloged with devastating specificity everything already broken in her inherited kingdom. Emma Darcy's work as Rhaenyra across these 8 episodes is the season's central achievement. This performance tracked a woman's genuine decency hurtling under the accumulated weight of grief, structural powerlessness, and the specific psychological toll of holding a throne she was never trained to hold. Sleeping beside the skull of her son's supposed killer, receiving Mysaria's flattery with open arms because it was easier than confronting what she had become, demanding that Helaena tell her that her visions of the future confirmed that her reign was worth its cost, and receiving only silence in return. By the finale, Darcy had constructed a Rhaenyra capable of exiling her most clear-eyed advisor and ordering a slaughter inside a cathedral. Fia Saban's Helaena deserves particular recognition. Her death in the finale, hurling herself from a window, was one of the year's most devastating pieces of television, made more painful by Rhaenyra's final scenes with her, impatiently setting aside the tapestry that might have contained the exact answers Rhaenyra desperately sought. And James Norton's Ormund Hightower, introduced with genuine menace, became one of the show's most unsettling antagonists for the season, precisely because his explosions of violence were less disturbing than his composed returns to normalcy afterward. This season killed more beloved characters than any before it, and made every single death mean something. The penultimate episode articulated the season's thesis with unusual directness. Dragons change their riders, just as power changes anyone who wields it. Aegon and Aemond's reconciliation at Harrenhal, after a season of mutual resentment and attempted fratricide, represents entirely new territory for the show to explore. And Alice Rivers' revelation as the former Lady of Harrenhal, cursed to remain within its walls after seeking dark powers to save her burned son, added genuine new material to a character whose background had never been fully established. The Battle of Tumbleton, which occupied the majority of the finale, resisted the satisfying clarity that season finales typically provide. Ulf's drunken betrayal and subsequent inferno-fueled revenge against both sides of the conflict, Hugh's insubordination to go search for his wife, Daeron and Gwaene's doomed attempt at peace. The result was a battle that felt genuinely consequential rather than merely spectacular, a draw at best for Rhaenyra's side, and a potentially Pyrrhic victory for the Greens, given the loss of their most capable strategist. If the finale left more loose ends than typical season closer, that untidiness felt less like a structural failure than an accurate reflection of a war with no clean outcomes remaining available to anyone still fighting it. This is not a show interested in providing its audience with comfortable resolution, and it never has been. What Season 3 ultimately accomplished was the transformation of political maneuvering into a tragedy. The demonstration that the throne, once seized, does not simply confer power, but actively corrodes the person sitting on it. Every major character who began this season with some claim to sympathy ends it more compromised, more isolated, or more dead than when it began. The 2-year wait for the 4th and final season will be a long one, but thankfully the remaining 2 seasons of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms will offer a worthy diversion in the meantime. Season 3 has left the board in genuine disarray, with a Westeros populated by people whose worst impulses have finally been given full expression. And that is precisely where a story like this should be, 3/4 of the way to its conclusion. House of the Dragon Season 3 is complete, streaming now on HBO and HBO Max. So let me know in the comments, where does Season 3 rank for you? And who do you think will still be alive when this series is all over? And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Fandom Frontline for more deep dives into the stories that shape our fandom.